All right, welcome to another wonderful episode of Press Play. I am your host, Derek Gerber, and today I'm so excited. We have JP Clement, CEO of Boomtime. Welcome to the show, JP. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thanks, and thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. It's hard to explain after 30 years of your background experience, all the things that you've done. Walk us through who are you and what do you do?
Well, yes, I do have about 30 years of experience in marketing, but I've also done a lot of strategy, entrepreneurship, product management, product design, and a little bit of everything. So yes, I've done a lot of marketing. I've probably done every type of marketing under the sun because I started 30 plus years ago. I did a lot of the traditional marketing at the beginning of my career, working for large companies like General Mills, a company by now is owned by Nestle in the consumer packaged goods world. So I've done a little bit of everything in the traditional marketing, and then I jumped in the internet side of marketing, so digital marketing, in '98 for Ticketmaster and City Search. And I haven't left. I'm still in there. I've worked for on the corporate side. I've worked on the agency side. I've worked for very large companies. I've worked for very small companies, lots of startups. Kind of a serial entrepreneur myself. I started three agencies of my own and countless other side businesses. But I joined Boomtime about a year ago and as CEO, and I'm having a blast kind of doing all kinds of digital marketing.
I love it. I love it. So let's jump right into it. How is Boomtime innovating the world of marketing today?
Well, Boomtime actually came out of the brain of a man named Bill Bice, also a serial entrepreneur, someone that I met a few years ago, and we both had the same exact idea or challenge, but we're approaching it from very different sides. And the challenge was, how do you scale digital marketing? Typically as an agency, you have X clients, and then if you want to have 2X clients, you need 2X people, right? Not very scalable. And as a business person, it always kind of grated at me that you couldn't scale agencies easily. So I thought about it for about 10 years, literally, and I was coming at it from a marketing and product standpoint, productizing marketing services and creating something more like a next gen agency that would sell its products, in an services in an e-commerce store, right? So I was coming at it from a very kind of traditional almost standpoint, but a more like a product standpoint. And Bill was thinking about it in from a technical standpoint. He's a technical guy at heart, very techno savvy, and so at Boomtime he had built a proprietary software that kind of undergirds the whole company, and it touches literally everything that Boomtime does. We call it Fuse. Boomtime, Fuse, light the fuse, and all that. We're marketers after all, but it's a proprietary software, and as I said, it helps us do marketing in a more replicable way, in a more consistent way. It allows us to do it forces us actually to do the right thing at the right time, which in marketing is very, especially in digital marketing, is very critical. It generates a lot of analytics. We feed all our analytics through Fuse, and in the end, it makes us way more efficient and enables us to scale. It also automates a lot of the tasks that are more mundane and repetitive as well. So our people can focus more on the strategy and on doing the best marketing possible within the confines of Fuse, which I call it the discipline engine. My team doesn't really like that, but for me it's important because marketing is a very disciplined field, and some people don't realize that, but that's something that I really believe in. I've been trained by people like General Mills into how marketing should be done, and I really believe in that. So anyway, Fuse is a big part of how we're different. We also are very transparent, which is something that I think is, especially for agencies, not necessarily, in my experience, something that happens all the time. So we publish our prices on our website. So what you see is what you get. It's not bait and switch at all. It's like This is how we charge what we charge, and Fuse enables us to charge less comparatively to other agencies because we're so efficient.
I love that. And I think that one of the most difficult things to probably bring across for the audience is that when you're in a creative world, it's difficult to incorporate data. And probably one of the latest innovations of what we've seen, right, in the last 10 or 15 years specifically, is the amount of data available for us to act on. And we've all talked about data is king. So when it comes to the competitive world of marketing and how you're differentiating yourself, your process with your data to get better results, be more efficient, better pricing, how are you differentiating yourself out in your own efforts? What type of content or what type of stories are you telling that really resonate with people? Maybe you have a few brands in there, some stories you could share for us.
Yeah, so people will probably not recognize the brands that we have. We serve mostly B2B, small and medium-sized businesses. So not household names really, but we do use data. That was kind of the third pillar of how we differentiate ourselves. We look at we generate a lot of data. Digital marketing in general does generate a lot of data, but we take the time to actually store that data, look at that data, and derive hypothesis, derive learnings from that data, so we can keep getting better at doing marketing, digital marketing. And so we're very data and science driven. All the things that we do, the packages we put in place, the way we do marketing is very, is different from our competitors just because we look at the data, and we also have a lot of experience doing it. But we data is something that I've been trained from a very early age. My first job after my MBA was with General Mills, and General Mills kind of taught me that data and analytics are kind of the core of marketing. I was always seeing marketing as a more creative and endeavor, but I realized very quickly that, thanks to their teachings, that marketing is actually about 50-50. And this marketing in and of itself is not really creative and endeavor. There's other things you can be creative in, I believe, but marketing itself is very, very data driven and science driven. So after this long intro, and they taught me that, and one of my managers at the time said, look, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. And that's literally stuck with me. That was 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, and I still remember it because it was like this light bulb that went on. I'm like, yes, that's true, and that makes sense. And I'm really lucky that I have a facility for numbers, and I can extract stories from massive sets of numbers. And I think, and that's something I've been trying to educate my team about, because I think we can still do a better job, and we educate our clients. So our core value, one of our core values, is that we see ourselves as educators internally at Boomtime, but also to our clients. And so, the analytics and data, and it's really hard for some people to interpret, to figure out. So what I've asked my team is that we tell stories, right? That the data, that when we show it to our clients for the campaigns, and we do very regular check-ins, is that we tell stories, because I don't want to throw a bunch of charts and tables and numbers at our clients. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to understand it. We're going to look like pompous, idiots. Sorry, but and so we tell stories. We have small bullet points that say, this is what the data says. And we do that with our marketing too. We create a lot of content, and I really believe that you have to create a story that matches your objectives as a brand or as a company, and that also pushes some key aspects of what you do, of why you do it. We're big on the why. And so anyway, so I hope that answers your question. I might have been meandering about a little bit here, but
No, it's perfectly answered because we even know that from General Mills. I've said the same words and you're saying them after 30 years of experience. Marketing is not 100% just creativity. It's 50% science, and the other half is 50% what I like to call feng shui. You have what you absolutely need to do, and then you know that you have to pick up the paintbrush and put that paint down to the canvas. And I think that's, people tend to hesitate on that part. They don't want to get the red ink and the critique after. But if you understand that half the game has already been figured out, you need to do these things. You can hire someone like a JP to help cover the extra gap. You're not as far away as you think. So if you're not even sure on the first half, you need to find somebody who's using data to make decisions in marketing. Just picking colors and just putting things out there to get 27 views is not the purpose of marketing. And I will tell you here now. So let's take that to the revenue generation side because typically clients come to us for three things. They want to help build awareness, educational programs, or revenue generation streams. How are your clients right now using your data, your analytics, your style in new innovative ways that are driving additional digital marketing leads to them? How are they doing it right now?
Well, actually, in a lot of cases, we're doing it for them. But we are we are using creativity and storytelling in a lot of different aspects, as I mentioned. Not just when we report the numbers on their campaigns, but when we create content. And we create a lot of content that could be blog posts, content for LinkedIn, for instance. We create what we call challenger articles. I mean, we do videos, we do podcasts for our clients. We do it for ourselves too. But we utilize a lot of these things, and this is where the creativity comes in. For at least as far as I'm concerned, it's like how do we use all these different elements that exist in digital marketing, and there are many, 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 and every week it seems like there's another digital marketing tactic that's appearing, right? But we use things like email marketing, social media marketing, influencer marketing, content marketing, and so on, and we put these pieces together in a way that I believe is very creative. And this is how we get our clients over that hump, right, to differentiate themselves. What we do, actually, we focus on the top of the funnel, as you described. So we generate leads for our clients, and remember, they're mostly B2B clients, but we generate awareness, interest, and consideration, pretty much. And then we have some other tools and packages where we can work the rest of the funnel, but we really focus on the top of that because most people come to us and and since the pandemic, I used to go to trade shows. I don't know what to do anymore, and we're like, digital marketing, it works, trust us. And then we can put campaigns together. So we have developed some really incredible tools that, for instance, manage your LinkedIn profile and create connections in a very different way. It's a little bit automated, but it doesn't feel automated. And we have all kinds of creative ways to create messaging that will really attract people and get them to respond to you. And then you can start conversations with them, and they become leads. We also generate, we try very hard to turn all our clients into thought leaders in their industry by generating the right content. So we have all these tools, and any one of them is not necessarily very creative, but it's how we put them together. So we've had clients, we've done campaigns that they were telling us, hey, I need to generate leads. I don't know what to do. So we'd say, hey, let's look at LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we call it the virtual trade show, right? This is where you can network on LinkedIn just as well as you could network at a trade show without the risk of getting sick. So we like that. And because we've developed all these tools and techniques on LinkedIn, we can really generate great traffic. And we have a client, actually a couple clients in Canada that work in very arcane types of technical industries. Where they were like, we started doing those programs for them, and so after three months they were like, stop. We're like, why? We're not doing a good job. Say, no, you're doing too good a job. We have so many leads, so many quality leads. We just don't know what to do with them. We don't have the staff to actually answer that. So please pause the campaign for a little bit. We'll catch up, then we'll tell you to turn it back on. So this is the kind of things that obviously, as the CEO of Boomtime, I want to hear. But it's also, it's a proof that what we do. And we measure everything that we do for obvious reasons, from what I mentioned a few minutes ago. So we do have, we measure everything, and we can prove the ROI of what we do very easily. And in cases like this company, they were not paying us a ton. You can see how much they were paying us on our website. But we were generating like hundreds of thousands of dollars in lead value for them. So that works.
That's right. And you're really taking me into the next point is that hesitation that some companies have to only quickly realize how fast digital marketing can create a cataclysmic moment for you to accelerate your business to a point where you realize you can't even deliver all that business. What a wonderful, wonderful problem to have. Fast growing companies tend to deal with those things, whether you're growing at 200, 300, 500%. There always seems to be more work than what you can actually deliver when your marketing is delivering the way it should be. I think that's what's amazing to me. So when it comes to, let's do some myth busting. All right. We love to bust some myths on this show. What would you say are top three myths that you address yourself every day when you're trying to sell clients? This is too expensive, or what are things that you typically hear that you wanna bust today?
Yeah, well, the first one is, I think, this idea of like that marketing is all about creativity, and we talked about it already. So I won't belabor that one, but that's one that literally I have
My favorite.
to crush like every single time. But I think one of them is yeah, I think it's this idea of like you cannot measure necessarily your return on investment. That's a big myth. Oh yeah, marketing so difficult to generate to calculate the return on investment or whatever. So my favorite ask question that I ask our clients is like, well, when you went to trade shows, what was your ROI? And they're like, I don't know. And then literally it's 80 to 90% of them will say, I don't know. I never thought about calculating it. We had to go to trade shows. We go to trade shows. Like, well, what if I told you that, it probably was not very good? And what if I told you that what we're going to do for you, I'm going to give you the ROI the first minute you start working with us. We're going to set some KPIs, and then we're going to track to them, and you'll see what your ROI is within 2 weeks. And that's a big myth buster, because the good thing in digital marketing, if you know what you're doing and if you set your campaigns properly, you can measure pretty much everything. There is all these issues of attribution and everything, but we won't get to. And what we do, that's not as much as the problem is as in the consumer space. Yeah, that still can rear its ugly head, but it's still doable, and you can still track and there's all kinds of techniques and modeling that you can do. A third one, I think it's this idea of like that you just in digital marketing you just do something, and then it works or it doesn't work, and then you just try something else, and it's easy to fix things, to change things, whatever it is. But if you don't have a plan of action, if you don't have your strategy totally set up, your KPIs set up, make sure that everything aligns, and that you do, as I said at the beginning of the show, that you do the right thing at the right time, it's not going to work. And that's something that people think that it's sort of be willy-nilly, and you can just try everything, and just, well, if it doesn't work, we'll throw stuff at the wall. It sticks, it doesn't stick, it doesn't matter. True, but at the same time, if you do it that way, it's not going to be very efficient. Your ROI is not going to be very good. So that's what we do. We fuse our software, but also our processes is that which Fuse replicates is that we're very disciplined in doing our marketing. And marketing, again, myth busting, not necessarily, marketing has to be, I believe deeply, a very disciplined and.
Absolutely. And I would add on to that too, is that I think a common miss that I've had to address is that we make videos here, but you can make one video and that covers all your needs. And like, that's literally, no, that's not, you don't do one thing for a few weeks and then go, oh, see, it never worked. Like that's ridiculous. Even what you said in your example earlier, 3 months into it, then you're, oh, okay. But as little as 2 weeks, you could start to feel the pulse. You could feel the heartbeat in the digital marketing part taking place. I would say that most digital marketing campaigns probably die out after a year, 95% of them, because people cannot maintain the effort. I would just say the maintained persistence, but then also content that matters when you need it the most in the buyer's journey. So there is self-guided purchase, or, buying into your brand loyalty. But on the flip side, I really got to say, at the end of the day, I look at ongoing efforts to know that there will be some quick pops from our digital marketing efforts now, but some of those investments may hit us 9 or 12 months from now. We may create a video today and post it today, see some traffic, get some original insights, and then find out a year later that somebody across the world watched that video and flew to San Francisco so you could have a board meeting. Not that I'm talking about a specific example, but yes, I've been there myself, because you sometimes have to post that content a year. So you could be 3, 6, 9, 12 months out, but the more you stack on, the more regularly you measure the data, the faster and better you're going to succeed. So, all
Well,
right,
if I
JP.
may add, if we have a second here, it's not, but you have to monitor, it's not just looking at the stats and the analytics for a while, but you have to keep monitoring. Our campaigns for our clients average 1 year. And we keep generating content over a full year, and it's amazing to see that the content changes over time, obviously, because there's a life cycle to those campaigns, and also to the company that we're working with. They have their own life cycle, right? And they have different needs at different times. And also to finish it, I'm sorry, maybe I'm taking too much time here, but quickly, this idea of time being very important. I always tell my clients, look, a lot of what we do is like there are things that we do that have a really direct impact in, as I say, a couple of weeks. There are things that take much longer, and I always say, it's like you planting a seed, right? And then our content is like watering that seed, and then it grows into a plant, and then the fruits that the plant bears is your leads and stuff like that. But that takes time, and that takes pruning, and that takes monitoring, and you make sure your plant is growing well, and so on. That usually resonates really well. But like for instance, we do our own marketing for ourselves. So I have a team that works for me as their client, and we realized that we had an article that we published 2 years ago that's still generating thousands and thousands of impressions every month.
That's right. That's right. You never know. And if you can do content right and you're matching the cadence and the expectation for what the audience wants from you, that content can last 2, 3, 5 years. No joke. You got to do it right though. So, all right, JP, this has been amazing. What is next for you and Boom Time?
Well, Boom Time, we're growing fast, but we have some. My board has given me some very, very ambitious targets, and so we're going to keep evolving our software Fuse. We might actually even white label it at some point. So that's kind of a big thing for us, and then we're going to keep, stay at this cutting edge of digital marketing. We learn every single day. I learn every single day, although I've been doing this for a long time. So we keep learning. We're going to keep growing, and in a few years we might go to an exit.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you need help today and you need strategy and vision and delivery backed by true data and science by a trusted professional and in the entire world of digital marketing experience from front to back, you need to call JP at Boom Time. So thank you, JP, for joining us today. And for the audience, please remember to review the podcast and click subscribe, and we'll be talking to you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks for having me.